And it's to me, it's an amazing just to hear other people's story.
Oh yes, sir. I mean, you gotta just take what life gives you. You know, you have to just build on the experiences, and as well as just know who you are, know what your purpose is. And my purpose is it's probably is bigger than sports. And my purpose is to just go out there and influence everybody in a positive way because there's so much negativity in this world, especially when it comes in the media field. You know, is a lot of criticism towards media and how we're supposed to actually report. And, you know, some of reporters are very biased and they don't, you know, sit there and examine, you know, this person or the team. They just go after the hot topics or the hot news without actually doing extensive research on that individual or that team. And that's something that anybody that's actually trying to get in this field, they have to understand that you have to stand out. It's very hard. You have to be dedicated and motivated. And at any given time, your sports career could be cut short. As you've seen with ESPN, they cut already, 250 to 300 people in the last 3-4 months. So, you know, you just have to roll with the punches, and you know you have to understand that you basically have to sit there and love what you do. You know, it has to be passion. You can't just sit there one day and be like, hey, I want to be a sports journalist and think it's going to be, you know, rain flowers and dandies. It's not. It's hard work. It's motivation. You got to be motivated, and you have to go out there and explain to people on who you are and what you're trying to cover.
Yeah, definitely. That's 100% correct. So, like I mentioned, you cover a variety of different teams. What all teams do you cover? And I think that's awesome that you have that opportunity.
I cover everything. You know, I'm just a young man that's very ambitious. I like to present my craft in a distinctive manner. So I just cover anything. Like, you know, I reside now in Seattle, so I got the opportunity to cover Seattle training camp, and that was a pretty extensive experience, as well as I was at NFL Draft in April. I will be going to the Super Bowl this year, so it's just many different things that I do as far as a journalist. I just don't cover just one team. I could tell you that I'm a diehard Philly fan, so if I was to cover any team, it would be my own team, which is Philly. But that's just on, you know, a fan base aspect. But as far as my career, I cover all sorts of things. You just can't narrow yourself down to, you know, one subject or one team or anything like that. You have to just go out there and look for the different stories out there. You know, I do a lot of featured stories on different individuals. I'm about to do an interview with Emmitt Smith next week. I'll be covering the Hall of Fame, NBA Hall of Fame next week, as well as Miss America next week. So it's just pretty extensive, and you know, you just have to go out there and grind. And that's what this field is about. You know, you have to distinguish yourself from others, and that's what, you know, my thing is. I like to be different and unique and bringing something different to the platform.
Yeah, definitely. That's really what it's all about, is being authentic, being different, having a different spin, because everybody can just talk sports or write about sports, but you got to put your own spin on it. And to me, that's what it's all about, and putting your different perspective on it, because that is what's going to separate you from the rest of the pack. Now, so man, covering the Seahawks, what was that experience like? What did you see at Seahawks camp, and what was kind of that overall experience?
It was a great experience, to be honest. You know, just being around people that you see and that, you know, inspire you to go out there and do the best that you can. You know, I saw Richard Sherman. Russell Wilson is very, like, the way he is on TV is the way he is actually in person. I talked to Sierra. Sierra is definitely a sweetheart. But outside of that, their offensive line, it seems like they're struggling a little bit. As you know, they had this lost George Fink. So that is a huge loss for them. So they're going to have to find somebody, you know, on the defensive end, as well as you see their backup situation where Austin Davis and Trayvon Boykin, they're still fighting for the second and third QB positions. So that was interesting. As you see, Boykin, he can extend plays, but he's not that accurate throwing the ball down the field by any means. Like, every preseason game, he had threw 2 or more picks. You can't really rely on the individual like that. He has to go out there and perform at the best. That offense does fit the category that he's in, but he needs help with the quarterback coach because his deep balls is not there. They get away from him. He holds the ball a little bit too long, as well as he just utilizes his feet all the time. I know it's extending plays, but if he keeps doing that, he's going to be like Michael Vick. Michael Vick came in the league when he was in Atlanta, and everything he did, like, he didn't go through all his progressions. If 1 and 2 weren't there, he was running. And that's how he was always injured, because he ran first. He tucked his head and ran. With Boykins, he's still young. This is his second season with the Seahawks. So it would definitely be interesting to see how the quarterback coach can definitely mold him into the person that he can be, because he has a lot of potential. Austin Davis is definitely more accurate than Boykins, but he just don't have the mobility that Boykins has. And a lot of people in camp were saying that they felt like Boykins was the better QB out of those two. But if Russell goes down, the whole Seahawks go down. That both the quarterbacks, they're average. They're your average quarterbacks. Nothing too special about them, and it's just a risky business with them too, because they don't really have a long ball. And with the Seahawks, as you see with them, they like to get the ball down to their wide receivers, by deep route passes and, his slants. And it just extends, the play a little bit longer. And it helps Russell out as well. So, if Russell goes down, the Seahawks going to be looking for somebody that can actually throw the long ball, because that catches the defender off guard. Because especially on man-on-man coverage, you got to do something. And they have a lot of speedsters on the wide receiver end as well. So with that said, it's definitely nice what they're trying to do, but that offensive line is shaky. And as you've seen with Russell Wilson, he had a phenomenal game a couple of days ago. He had threw for 186 yards and like 2 touchdowns. But he was running for his life. That's not a good look, especially, coming in preseason.
Right.
So, yeah, so nevertheless, with Wilson, he has to, have a pocket that can actually hold their water, and that's not what they're doing right now. They're improving, but it still looks a little bit shaky like last year. So it would definitely be interesting to see, what they will do in their first game for as far as the regular season.
Yeah, and I think the biggest question, and I wanted to ask you this, do you think Eddie Lacy is going to be starting? They pick up Eddie Lacy, they put him on this weight program, they really focus in on him being fit and ready to go. Do you think he's going to be the week 1 starter for this Seahawks team?
Well, no, actually, they have a couple more running backs. You have the youngster Carsons that have really been improving, but as far as Eddie Lacy being a starter, that's a no-go. Like, all the running backs, they're very tight in competition right now, and nobody has really stood out. Eddie Lacy has 6 attempts for 34 yards. That's not getting it done. He definitely looks good, with bouncing to the outside. As you know, if you watch the Packers games, he's a downhill runner. But now he can actually get to the corner and actually outrun defenders, which is something that we don't really normally see with Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy is a power back. He reminds people of Marshawn Lynch. But as far as him being a starter, that's up in the air. I would say he will be second string. He'll come in on third down conversions, of course, and pound the ball in, third and short. Maybe 3rd and 5. He has great hands, so you can actually utilize him in a different type of package, not just running. So you can have him out in the flats, catching slants and flat routes. But as far as his running tech, I don't really see him being a starter just yet. It would be nice to see him as a starter, so he can get a new start, especially coming from a Packers organization that, really kind of degraded him and his weight the last 2 years. And, they were saying that he got too big, but he was still productive.
Right,
but to answer your question, no, I don't really think he's going to be a starter.
Man, that's really not what I wanted to hear because I got him in my fantasy team. So I guess I'm screwed then. But I might have to go looking for another running back. But I think it's a good change of pace, though, for Eddie Lacy, giving him an opportunity with the Seahawks. If an injury happens, I can definitely see him starting eventually. Now, I'm a big North Carolina Tar Heels fan. I love football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is with the Tar Heels. And they've got a guy named Nas Jones, a defensive tackle. Did you see anything from him at camp? And do you think he'll be able to maybe get some run this year?
I didn't really see too much anything spectacular. I mean, he's a youngster that's coming in. He has to definitely improve. But as you know, coming into the game as a rookie or whatever, it's a progression thing. It's like he needs to get, more fit into the system, and you can tell he's a little bit hesitant. So with that said, it's just like, he just making mistakes as, youngsters coming into the game, but he's improving each and every week. So he could definitely be a phenomenal person, with the right course of action as far as, it's just experiencing and learning what the veterans are telling him. And that's something that he needs to be molded into. And so, he's going to have his rookie slump. So, you can't really just say, is he, going to be this or that just yet because, he's a youngster right now. So, he's just improving daily.
Yeah, definitely. So, in this sports industry that you're in, what is your ultimate goal destination for where you would want to be, at the peak of your career?
I feel personally like this is my peak of my career. Short-term goal is, of course, working for ESPN. That is, one of my goals, but my goals is bigger than that. I want to start my own publication, which I have started. It's called New Stage Magazine, and I want that to be one of the popular outlets in the next probably 5 to 10 years. Also, as you know personally, because, we follow each other on Facebook, I'm a man of faith. I would like to, go do some missionary trips and, teach the great word as well as inspire others out there. So that's the bigger purpose for far as me. But the short-term goals that especially been in this business is, of course, ESPN. So, it's a hard work to get there, and then, you got to be determined to actually, keep striving for, better things and better opportunities. But longevity, that's my short-term goal, but my longevity is more so on the aspect of just being an inspiration to others.
Yeah, man. And man, that's really what it's all about, being that inspiration. And I love the posts that you have, the ones in the morning or the ones whenever you post it, just very inspirational. So I suggest that you go follow Fago White Franklin. I put the name in the chat room. Also, Fago Fagof on Twitter. But yeah, if you don't mind, kind of share your faith a little bit and kind of what you believe in.
Of course, I grew up in a very strict environment when it comes to Christianity. My parents are Baptists, of course, and I was made to go to church until I was 13 years old. Just to give you a little bit of background. So basically, being in a strict household, as far as Christian, as well as being in the military, because my dad was military, it was very strict, so I decided to branch out. When I was 20 years old, I almost died off of alcohol poisoning. That's when I heard God's voice, like, really, really clear. And he was telling me he is going to actually use me as a testimony. Years and years later, a lot of people actually look up to me and to be this leader. And I decided to take more action with speaking about different things and different issues, as we've seen with Charlottesville. To me, honestly, because I'm from Virginia, Charlottesville is a very kind place. I don't know what was going on with that crazy protest, but Charlottesville, their people are really, really friendly. And the students are actually friendly. I used to cover the UVA games out there. That's why I know,